Hi there. So glad you made it to my channel. If this is your first visit, don't forget to subscribe and share this video. It really supports my work. Tell me in the comments which city or country you're watching from. Let's get into it. We entered the Marriott ballroom shortly after 7:30. Mara had an uncanny instinct for making entrances feel intentional. Her dress, deep green and impossible to ignore, drew every eye in the room, just as she liked it. I let her have that moment. It didn't bother me. At least, not at first. What happened after? That was different. This was the company's annual awards night, the polished kind of evening where everyone shakes hands while mentally tallying promotions and bonuses. I'd recently been named head of the security infrastructure team. The title wasn't glamorous, but it mattered to me. I had wanted Mara there. Her presence meant something, or I thought it did, but she drifted off almost immediately. I found myself lingering by the bar with a glass of soda water, watching her from across the room. She laughed, too loudly, too easily, at something Lucas said. He was with DevOps, younger, loud, absurdly fit, always trying too hard. I noticed her hand brush his arm. Then it happened again. She tilted her head just so when she talked to him, wrapping a strand of hair around her finger like a reflex. It wasn't jealousy I felt, at least not quite. It was awareness, the kind you sharpen after years in cybersecurity. You recognize when something's off. This didn't feel random. It felt like the beginning of something. When we finally sat down for dinner, she carried on like nothing had happened. She complained about the dry chicken and half-scrolled through her phone. The Uber ride home was quiet. Eventually, I broke the silence. Calmly, I said, "You and Lucas seemed pretty close tonight." She unclasped her earrings without looking at me. "What's that supposed to mean?" "I just meant, it didn't seem like casual conversation." She finally turned toward me, face unreadable. "If me being nice bothers you, maybe that's your own insecurity." It was sharp, dismissive, immediate. No concern, no pause. I didn't think I was insecure. I just hadn't expected that kind of cold detachment. She gave a soft chuckle, not cruel, more amused than anything. "Damon, seriously, relax. I was just being polite." I didn't argue. I didn't press. I let it settle, quietly, like logging an incident in a system, recorded, time-stamped. What she didn't know was that it was the first entry in a list that was only going to grow. Things didn't go back to normal after that. Mara's smile remained. Her curated posts kept showing us as a perfect couple. But something had shifted underneath. She began spending more time working in cafes, said the energy helped her focus. Her freelance content work was never on a fixed schedule, but she'd always stayed close to home, usually working from the kitchen. Now, hours passed without her. When she was around, her laptop snapped shut the moment I walked by. Conversations shrank to basics. No more late-night shows, no more sleepy chats in bed. I hadn't left, but somehow I was no longer part of the picture, just part of the background. One night I came home late and noticed her laptop left open on the couch. She must have stepped out briefly to take a call. The screen had gone dim, not locked. I froze. I knew better. But I looked. The chat was still up. Instagram, DMs, Lucas. It wasn't overt, but it didn't need to be. The tone was unmistakably flirty. Casual, yes, but charged. "You always make me laugh. Quit teasing me, Lowell. Don't forget our little secret." "Our secret?" She walked back into the room a moment later. I gently closed the laptop and set it aside. I didn't confront her immediately. I wasn't looking for a fight. I just wanted the truth. Later that night, while we were getting ready for bed, I asked, "Are you still talking to Lucas?" She turned slowly from the mirror. "What are you trying to imply?" "I saw some of the messages on your laptop. I didn't go looking. They were just there." Her eyes narrowed. "So now you're checking up on me?" I asked a simple question. She shook her head, tying up her hair like it was a performance. "Wow, invading my privacy? Is that what this is now?" "I'm asking because what I saw didn't feel right." She crossed her arms, stepping back like she needed space. This is control. You're twisting everything. I can't even talk to someone without you turning it into an interrogation. I didn't argue. I stayed silent. That, more than anything I could have said, seemed to bother her. She gave a bitter laugh, grabbed her phone, and left the room. I didn't follow. I wasn't chasing anymore. I was documenting. A few nights later, it was Melina's birthday, one of Mara's influencer friends. The celebration was on a downtown rooftop. By the time I got home, Mara was already dressed. Tight red dress, new heels I hadn't seen before. She barely acknowledged me on the drive there. As we walked into the venue, she flipped the switch. That dazzling smile reappeared, arms wide, ready for the cameras. She hugged Melina with flair, waved grandly, then made a direct line toward Lucas. Yes, he was there. I lingered by the bar, watching as she embraced him. Too long to be platonic. They slipped into easy conversation, laughter flowing. She leaned in close. Mid-sentence, she touched his chest. He whispered something, and she giggled. That laugh she used to give me, soft and familiar, back when she was still truly with me. I remember catching sight of his hand gently resting at the small of her back. She didn't shy away. Not long after that, we left. The drive home was cloaked in silence. My hands clutched the steering wheel, eyes locked on the road ahead. When we arrived, she slipped off her earrings with practiced ease, undid her necklace clasp, as if the night hadn't taken an unusual turn. After a pause, I spoke quietly. I need us to talk, and I need you to really hear me this time. Her fingers kept moving, no sign she'd even registered what I'd said. All right, I went on. I can't just pretend what happened tonight, with Lucas, didn't matter. She exhaled a weary little laugh. Damon, are you seriously still stuck on that? I answered. I saw the way you let him touch you. The way you touched him, too. So what? She shot back. I can't have a simple conversation anymore without you turning it into some accusation? You know that wasn't just small talk, I replied. Then she turned fully, her gaze hard and unwavering, and delivered it without hesitation. If you're this miserable, the door's right there. Her words were razor sharp, devoid of hesitation or regret. No one's forcing you to stay, Damon. Accept this or leave. I didn't yell, didn't show a flicker of reaction. I just gave her a slight nod. Thanks for clarifying, I said in a low voice. She rolled her eyes and walked out. Sleep didn't visit me that night, but I wasn't restless. I was calculating. Mara assumed I'd sulk on the couch, wait for her apology, and eventually fall back into old patterns. But this wasn't the same. Over the next few days, I acted, quietly moving funds from our joint account, trying to transfer bills into her name, some successful, others not, and canceling the expenses I had been covering. I copied all my essential files. I reviewed our lease agreement, only my name on it. I decided I'd pay the rent through the month's end. After that, she was on her own. She'd soon realize it. We weren't officially separated. I hadn't filed anything. She didn't seem to notice, too wrapped up in posting gym selfies and captions about gratitude and growth. Through a colleague, I lined up a short-term rental, furnished, quiet, orderly. On the fourth morning, while she slept, face tilted toward the window, her presence distant even in rest, I packed a single suitcase. Just the essentials: clothes, laptop, ID. I left my key on the kitchen counter next to a handwritten note. You were right. The door's right there. I used it. Rent's paid through month end. After that, it's on you. Damon. No dramatic confrontation, no lengthy goodbye, just certainty. At precisely 7:42 a.m., I stepped out. When I arrived at my new place, I unpacked and sat on the couch. Just sat there. The quiet felt heavy at first, but honest. No guessing which version of her I'd face upon waking. That evening, I switched off my phone and went out for a walk. The air felt clearer than it had in years, and for the first time, I wasn't consumed by thoughts of how to fix us. I was reflecting on why I had let things unravel for so long. 2 days later, I turned my phone back on. 39 missed calls, a flood of texts, 5 voicemails, all from Mara. Seriously, you just left? Wow, dramatic much. You couldn't even say goodbye? Where are you? We need to talk. You're being irrational. I didn't respond, not from spite, but because I no longer owed her explanations. That night, she posted a cryptic story. Plain black background, white text. Some people will leave without even trying. That speaks volumes about them, not you. Subtle, but only barely. The real revelation came 3 days later. Mara's friend Sierra let it slip, almost like it didn't matter. A casual DM appeared from her. Hey, I thought you two were already done. Mara told us that. I asked, when did she say that? Weeks ago, at brunch. She said she was just exploring, figured you'd blow up eventually. Didn't think you'd actually walk away, though, Sierra replied. So that was it. Mara had been laying the groundwork behind my back, constructing a narrative for her audience. She wasn't blindsided. She was scripting the ending. I just happened to deliver it. That evening, my friend Drew texted me. Dude, did you see Mara's Instagram? I checked. A carousel of old couple photos, paired with a lengthy caption about being caught off guard and how hard she had worked on us. The comments poured in. Men can't handle independent women. You deserve better, Queen. I stayed silent. No rebuttal, no response. Then I blocked her everywhere, phone, socials, all of it, removing myself from her audience completely. This wasn't retaliation. It was self-respect. She'd told me the door was open. I walked out. She just didn't expect to hear the lock click behind me. It took her a week to understand that door no longer swung both ways. Then she showed up at my office, late morning on a Wednesday. My coworker Alec sent me a message. Your wife's at reception. Says it's urgent. I stood at my glass-walled office and looked down. There she was, arms crossed, lips pursed, impeccably dressed, as though she had somewhere much more important to be. I didn't go down. Instead, I called reception. Please inform her that all personal matters must go through email. If she refuses to leave, contact building security. Roughly 10 minutes later, I watched as security escorted her out of the building. She didn't leave quietly. She shouted something at the receptionist and kicked at the glass door on her way out. That same afternoon, HR asked to speak with me. They explained that a woman had come to the front desk, claiming she was my wife and demanding entry, citing a dispute over what she called shared belongings. I laid out the situation clearly. She'd been staying in an apartment that was still under my name, but I had already moved out. The things she insisted we co-owned were actually mine, and I had all the documentation to back it up. Lease agreements, utility bills, receipts. After listening, they informed me she'd be added to the list of individuals barred from entering the building. They assured me they'd manage things if the situation escalated further. As I returned to my desk, something unexpected settled in me, a sense of relief. That evening, she sent an email. Wi-Fi's not working. This is petty. I replied once, the account's in my name. So is the lease. You asked for space. This is part of that. Her response came quickly. I can't afford this place alone. I didn't answer. In the days that followed, a few mutual friends, mostly people closer to her, began to reach out. Some were looking for my perspective. Others admitted they'd been too quick to judge. I hadn't wrecked anything. I just stepped away from supporting something I no longer lived in. 2 weeks passed before she reached out again. Her tone was different this time. Can we talk? Just coffee. One time, please. I waited until the next day to reply. 15 minutes, somewhere public, no scenes. We met at a cafe near our old neighborhood. She showed up late, looking unlike the version of her I remembered. No makeup, hoodie, hair pulled back. That usual confidence had drained from her face. She looked exhausted. You look good, she said, taking a seat. Thanks, I replied with a nod. She stirred her drink but didn't taste it. I've been thinking, she began, about how it ended, what I lost. I let her speak without interrupting. The apartment feels hollow now, no light, no noise, just empty space. I didn't respond. That's what happens when the one who filled it is gone. She seemed to flinch. I didn't expect you to actually leave, she said quietly. When I said what I said about the door, I thought you'd fight back, not walk away." I raised an eyebrow. "But you meant it." "I did," she whispered. "It was dumb. I thought you'd always stay, even if I kept pushing you away." Her voice cracked and her eyes filled, not for show, just raw honesty. "I treated you like someone who'd always wait." I gave a slow nod. "You treated me like I didn't know how to leave." A pause stretched between us. Then she asked softly, "Would you ever consider—" "No." She blinked, taken aback. "You won't even hear me out?" "I don't need to. The answer's the same." She dropped her gaze and fidgeted with her hands. After a moment, she said, "I'm living with my sister now. She's being tough on me, says I need to get my act together." She sniffled. "Are you happier without me?" I thought about my new apartment, the calm, the bed, the quiet. "Yeah," I said, "I really am." She gave a small nod, stood up, and left, her coffee untouched. That was the last time I saw her. 3 months slipped by. A mutual acquaintance mentioned that Mara had picked up a retail job, folding clothes and stocking inventory at a mall outside the city. She was still living with her sister. She still posted online, though less often now, and mostly with excuses. Her audience had moved on. So had I. The divorce process had begun. All communication was now funneled through lawyers. My new place was smaller, but it belonged to me completely. Every corner felt earned. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was peaceful. I started saying yes again, to drinks after work, to weekend hikes. I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in over a year, people I'd unintentionally distanced myself from while managing her constant turmoil. I didn't jump into dating right away. Not because I was avoiding it, but because for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel the need to fill the space. Eventually, I met someone new. Her energy was calm, grounded. She listened. She didn't treat my boundaries like challenges. I didn't tell her much about Mara, just that it had ended, and it needed to. At work, I was invited to join a new project. Bigger scope, more responsibility. 2 months later, I got a raise. One quiet Sunday afternoon, I was hanging shelves in my apartment. I unwrapped a framed print I'd found downtown. Black text on a white background. Minimal, clean, bold. "If you're unhappy, leave." I smiled as I mounted it near the door. It wasn't about her anymore. It wasn't bitterness. It was clarity. That phrase she threw at me in anger had ended up being the best thing she ever said to me, even if she never expected I'd take it seriously. She didn't think I'd walk away. But I did. And the silence I left behind? It wasn't absence. It was freedom.